Okay, so I'm going to focus on two things, and I'm going to cover it quickly because there isn't a lot of time. Visual analytics and smart tools. What I mean by visual analytics is a way of using the data that comes from executing processes to get an understanding of what's happening, what the problems are, and where you should look if you're interested in making improvements. And it's a different approach to the idea of what visualizations of data should look like. The second part is smart tools. And smart tools, the idea in smart tools is tools that focus on specific techniques. So one of the smart tools is going to look at what's normally called workforce management, how to schedule resources to get the work done in a timely way. And the other tool is one which focuses on return on investment, the idea of saying, if I'm going to spend money to improve a business process, how should I spend that money? If I improve this, what will I get out of it? If I improve that, what will I get out of it? Those two smart tools. So those are the two things. Of course, they work together. The smart tools try to make use of all the analytics. But the visual analytics is a kind of different idea about what type of analytics you need in order to understand business processes. Okay, so what is this used for? Well, the idea here is no matter how many pages the model may have in processing a work item, and here a loan application, you can depict what happened, including when there are failures for whatever reason. And the system automatically locates these failures and depicts them in a variety of ways, and this is one way. That immediately tells me that I have arrival patterns that are bringing in a load of applications in the morning and in the afternoon for 5 days. And I can read that right off of that picture. What I can do is say, look at that picture. Look at that corner there. I've drawn a box around some outliers. I mean, each one of those dots represents a completed loan application. And it's telling me when it arrived, starting from the beginning. And it's telling me that they took a long time. They took much longer than the average. Why? And that's the kind of question that you can ask using the scatter plot technology as a way of integrating into the history information and discovering things. So if I do that and I draw that box, what happens is the histories for whatever I've put the box around will be then grouped together. So that's one way of integrating the analytics portrayals. So now I've introduced something else here, which is I've invoked a pattern analyzer. A pattern analyzer looks at every one of the histories and it groups them according to the paths that were taken. So paths that are similar will be grouped together. Now, they won't be exactly the same because the steps will have taken different times and so forth. But the critical branching points in there, which are based upon decision criteria, in a pattern, those were typically made the same way. So it's grouping all of the histories according to this pattern recognition technology, which is customizable so that you can tune it to appropriate situations. Once you've done that, if you go ahead and pick any one of the patterns, it automatically selects the subset of Gantt chart histories that go along with that. This is just a way of constructing multiple representations that are integrated together. So it's distinct from going to a database and using OLAP cubes as a way of accessing them. All of these pieces are integrated together. And there are a lot of different types of visualizations. I won't go through them, but there are dozens that are built into this, all with the characteristic that they integrate with each other. If I'm in one of them and it selects something, it can immediately be reflected in the other views. So this is a different idea about how visualization of data should work in order to understand processes. Okay, so now I've just picked some different representations here. I'm focusing on what resources are doing. And these are, in other words, people with specific groups of skills performing the application process, doing their jobs. And this can be broken down to any level of detail that you want to. Right now, it's looking across all the resources, and I've put up a picture that corresponds to, 5 days. And then I've just simply, you can take this and blow it up in any way you want to. Now I'm looking at 1 day, every hour, what was going on in terms of the resources, focused on the perspective of how idle they were. You can just decide what perspective you want. You can look at how busy they were. You can look at it from a role point of view, which is a generalization. Groups of resources can perform the same role. You can look at it from any one of these perspectives. So the objective here is to achieve focus, offer a facility that's at the business level of use, and engage a sophisticated apparatus underneath it which combines automatic allocation algorithms, simulation, and so forth.